Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Excalibur Data Systems Roundtable Tech Talk. I am Mike Fuson. I'm joined by Will Barrowes from CG4, one
Hi,
of our
Mike.
favorite systems that are out there. Hey, Will. And so, Will and I are always brainstorming on what are the things we can bring to you guys to talk about and ways that we can help you solve problems. And we've had a number of customers talk to us recently as everybody's kind of in different stages, kind of moving out of the pandemic and moving into the new normal of business operations. We've had a number of customers reach out to us because their security teams internally have raised a concern of understanding where all of our assets are. And everybody goes, well, okay, isn't it on somebody's desk? Well, it could be on somebody's desk. It could be in their house. But the bigger thing is the things that aren't on the wire, that aren't communicating with some of our other systems that may that tell us, hey, this thing is connected to us. And a couple of customers have said, hey, we don't really always know and can't really check at a moment's notice if things that are in stock or in inventory in potentially a stock room, or that could be shelving units that are at the back of a shared room for some of the desktop support guys or what have you. We don't know what's where. We don't have the ability to easily inventory that. Until it pops on the wire, we don't know what's going on. And that's where CG4 starts to come in to give us some capabilities. So we thought, let's break some things down with CG4, right? So, well, CG4 offers multiple methods, multiple ways for people, and we're talking about barcode and RFID scanning here, folks. Not some sort of newfangled technology, although RFID is kind of a little more newfangled than barcode scanning. But barcode scanning has been around a long time, and the systems and technologies are pretty perfected in being able to do that. But you guys offer multiple ways to interface with the system. So let's talk about some of those ways that somebody could, if they want to scan a barcode. How am I scanning a barcode?
Well, you can use a variety of devices. So like to start with, you've got your smartphone that everybody has one of those on their hip or in their pocket. You can use the camera as your barcode scanner, and then it decodes the barcode, and then you're able to update the asset. You can also use those ruggedized scanners like you see at the department stores that the employees are using, that have physical keyboard on them and maybe a pistol grip approach there, and they're ruggedized and they have barcode scanners built in. You can also get Bluetooth scanners that will pair with your smartphone. So instead of using the camera as your barcode scanner, you can use these Bluetooth scanners that have paired with your smartphone, and then that goes scan, 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 and it's a lot quicker than just using the camera as your barcode scanner. There's also, of course, as you mentioned, scanners that do RFID, and there's usually the scanners that do barcode and RFID in case you've got a need to update a specific asset versus a bulk of assets doing RFID. And you can also use USB style scanners, the ones that don't have an operating system. They're just tethered or Bluetooth connected to a laptop or a workstation, and you can just scan and update assets that way. So there's a wide variety of options so that you can pick and choose, for this person or this department, this is how they would best be able to scan the barcodes.
Right. And CG4 is a web-based app. So we can leverage the CG4 web interface. There's also a smartphone, iOS and Android available app for those to be able to pair that and work it in that model to be able to communicate with CG4. And of course, CG4 is then communicating with wherever your CMDB lives. So, our case being a Cherwell Avanti partner, we're able to communicate with our IT service management systems, or it could be, one of the other systems that are out there that you're leveraging. Pretty much, if it has a REST API, we can connect CG4 to it to send and receive information to keep your CMDB up to date. But it gives you a variety of ways in which to do that scanning. As we start looking at doing the inventory, one of the things that customers have trouble doing, they don't do inventories on these things because it's a big
Right,
hassle and takes
right.
forever, right? If you've got 20 laptops and other devices and whatnot that are in a storeroom, it takes a while to do. But when you're able to scan those, you know that those items should be in an in-stock status, or whatever you want to call it, in inventory, whatever your nomenclature is. Your and where it should be in stock room A or stock room B. And one of the things we talk about sometimes, what customers have done for location purposes, is they put a little barcode readable, little sticker in the room, so you can zip zap your location. Here's my location for everything I'm doing, and go through. And then with CG4, it's telling us, it can tell us, hey, I didn't, here's all the stuff that I believe is in this room. And as you scan it, it kind of falls off the list and then tells you, okay, here's a couple things you may need to find. And maybe those have moved, into, maybe they're getting prepped to be delivered. But these are things that are still showing as in stock and in this location. But it lets you do that inventory a little bit quicker. But you've got all of these different methods to be able to do it. One of the things I like to clarify for customers too, people get confused with RFID tags. They think they put the tag on as RFID only. And that's not true, is it, Will?
No. So when you put an RFID tag on your assets, it looks in a lot of ways just like a regular barcode, because when you look at it, you see the human readable, and then you see the barcode above it, just like any barcode, asset tag would be, and say property of your organization. But with an RFID tag, right behind it is an electronic layer that allows it to be inventoried or read electronically, not just by scanning it optically. And so you have the best of all worlds. You can either look at it, or you can scan the barcode, or you can pull the trigger and do an RFID read to inventory every asset in the room without having to scan them individually. So you get the best of all worlds.
And that's a good point of clarification. It has that barcode on there. So while you may not have an RFID, you've got everything RFID tagged, and there's a handful of RFID scanners out there that are going into, say, large inventories of rooms. Maybe the RFID scanner isn't available or is in another location right now. You can still zip out. You use your cell phone and a little barcode, Bluetooth barcode reader that you're going through and just scanning all the barcodes and checking your inventory of what should be in there. And so this is something that's been a topic that's come up quite a few times of late, which is, okay, great, we want to be able to inventory stuff that's, on the desk or what have you. But one of the challenges is the stuff that's waiting that we've received and may have gone through a receiving process, leveraging CG4, to take it into inventory. But what's in inventory now? One of the CISOs that we talked to pointed out what his concern was that something could get up and walk out of one of the stock rooms, and when would we know that it disappeared? Right? Because doing inventories is painful, so they kind of get left until you have to do them, where we could be on a regular weekly inventory cycle if we want to, just inventorying everything we have and validating that what we expect to have here is where it's supposed to be, and that kind of helps that security concern, but also being able to use these technologies in whatever ways they need to be used to do regular inventories of our stuff that is potentially on the wire or is in certain locations to make sure things are where they're supposed to be. That helps us keep that security level up high. And if something seems to be missing, being able to go through some sort of governance process to identify where that asset is, or is it actually missing? And we may have requirements to report it as lost or stolen, etc. It helps tighten up some of those processes and make these processes very easy
Right.
and much more accurate.
Right. So if you do your inventory once a year, and then you find out that an asset's missing, how are you going to figure out where the weakness is there? But if you're doing it like you said, like every week, someone just walks in, scans everything, then you have a very short time window where you can watch video camera footage or something just to kind of help you identify where that could have gone, or if someone stole it or something like that. It's got that the more frequent you do that little inventory check, the easier your job of finding missing assets is.
Right. And this is especially true for organizations that have some sort of regulatory or fiduciary compliance requirement, and being able to make that process simple,
Mm-hmm.
and make that process something that is is reliably repeatable, right? Because leveraging CG4, we're using modules, and those modules are going to follow a process. It gives us a workflow for us to go through, to make it easy, quick, accurate, and identify challenges that we may be facing.
Yep, exactly. The easier you make it, the more likely it's going to happen, and produce great accuracy on your assets.
Absolutely. Well, Will, thanks for joining me today. It's always fun to talk CG4 and the things we can do to help customers in their asset tracking and IT asset management processes.
Well, thank you, Mike. It's always a pleasure.
And so feel free to hit us up at excaliburdata.com. We'd love to talk to you about CG4 and how it can be part of your coordinated IT asset management process. We'll see you all again soon, and we'll be talking more about what you can do with CG4. Thanks, everyone.